Hello, everyone. Welcome to our live episode and our first episode in a long time. This is the What's Your Story episode. So I am so excited to welcome someone that I have not met face to face, but I did have an opportunity to hear him speak on a podcast. So I'm excited. We've been working to get him on for quite some time now. So without further ado, I'm going to bring in, and we were having some issues hearing. So hopefully, can you hear me now and say something so
Can you hear me?
I can hear you. I think it was on my end. So I apologize for that, but I'm pretty sure I think it was on this end. So I did some tweaking and I heard you come in. So I think we are good. Welcome. How are you tonight?
I'm good. Just got done teaching kids earlier at Jesse B's Academy over here in St. Louis, Missouri.
That's right, you guys. He's coming to us by way of St. Louis, Missouri. So, what we're going to do tonight, you guys, this is a new segment that we're going to be doing every second Tuesday of the month. And so, this is our first one. We had this like many years ago. What we would do, What's Your Story? And didn't do a lot of them, but there are many people out there who is doing wonderful things, who, deserves and that we need to hear their story. You don't have to be way up, not saying that you're not, but so often we look for people that are already there. Like we say famous people when there are famous people amongst us, teachers, whatever the case. This just happened to be your story tonight, teacher and poet. Poet, am I saying that right? Is that the proper language for it?
Yeah. Yes, ma'am. Poet.
Poet. So, Derrick, let me do this before we dive right into it. Is there anything you would like to talk about or tell them about you before I dig into the information that you sent me? Is there anything you want to share with the audience about what you do? All those things. Won't you tell them? I know you said you had just left the kids. What age group do you teach?
I teach preschool and school age kids.
Okay. Okay.
So they are from the ages of 3, 4 years old, all the way up to like 12, 13.
What's your greatest challenge in teaching or with teaching?
Um, the greatest challenge is knowing that each kid is different and they need each one needs a different way of being communicated with love and knowing that they are understood and that you're patient with them and learning them and them learning you.
I love that. Even at 3 years old, you guys, at 3 years old, do the kids know that you do poetry? Do they know you're a stand-up?
Um, they do. I have actually did poetry with Jesse B's Academy for 7 years. So I am their house poet. So it started with
House.
events going on at Tower Grove Park here in St. Louis, Missouri. I used to walk all the way from Illinois through the McKinley Bridge all the way to Tower Grove on half of a left foot and just help set up, help serve food, help break down, throw away the trash, pass out flyers for the next event. And so every year she has a charity ball event here for the kids raising money and scholarships to help the kids go to school.
Hmm.
And I'm the house poet.
So what's the house poet? What is the house poet? Meaning, for
As
those
in
who don't know, like me.
okay, so when I say house poet, as in I am the poet of the house.
Okay.
As
Okay.
in, it's not that nobody else can probably do it, but I am their poet. So that means every charity event they have, I have the honor of doing poetry
Oh,
for them. And my kids actually do poems as well originally that they have worked on.
okay. Okay. And how long have you been doing poetry?
So I've been doing poetry now for 23 years.
23 years?
Hmm.
Okay. Okay. All right. Are you going to spin some out for us tonight? Are you going to do a poem? Poet?
Oh,
What's the proper word?
yeah, most definitely. I love to
Okay.
share some poetry.
I tell you what, let's start there. Then I'm going to come back after you and read your bio. And then we're going to
Mhm.
dive right into our questions. Tell them about the event that you have coming up, how they can support you, how they can find you, all of that good stuff.
Okay.
Spin off of some poetry,
Okay.
just like
um, if you ever wonder what faith look like, then I'm the definition.
that. Mm.
Knowing having nothing and never having a father and going through trials and tribulations with half of a left foot and multiple times of being doubtful and not wondering or ever being sure. But if you ever wonder what the faith what faith look like, I am the definition of trusting God on levels that will never make sense, but still believing that what does not make sense works best for me. That faith is not looking at it tangibly in the eyes of a man, but looking through God's eyes and already seeing the results is finished. To know that all that works against me now will work for me. To know that if he had the power and the powers to speak and he had no options but to be, then who am I that I can't speak the very same thing when I serve the God that lives in me? You
All
ever
right.
want to know what faith is?
All right.
It's still pressing even when you are tired, even when ready to quit, even when ready to throw in the towel, knowing how many people have judged you or beat and boggled you down, how many people have thought what you do seems crazy, but they don't understand that this is the year that I move into the supernatural and stop trying to move like the natural man. So this is the year that faith is no more just talking, but just doing. You ever wonder what faith is? Is knowing that God has already gave you all that you need and just walking into it the first moment you wake up and breathe. Now that's faith,
Mhm.
if you ask me the definition of it. And that's that peace.
That's that piece, faith.
That peace, faith.
All right. So we just heard from you guys, Mr. Derrick, Mr. Let me go back. Derrick Poetry number 7 Owens. Did I get that right? I always want to put the Mr. in it. But
That
Derrick
is Mr. Poetry
Port.
7.
Okay, so Mr. Poetry 7
Yes,
from
ma'am.
St. Louis, a native of St. Louis, teacher at Jesse B's Academy, minister and worship leader at Christhood International Worldwide Ministry.
Mhm.
2022 Poet of the Year, St. Louis, Missouri, made the newspaper in Monroe, Louisiana, poetry for personal power advocate, open mic host, and much, much more. His testimony: only God gets the glory, honor, and praise for Derrick Owens. All right,
Mhm.
so sounds like you have a faithful relationship with God. How did
Yes.
that come about? What was your evolving moment, I would say? If you had to just pick one, and it could be one that relates to your poetry, what would be that
Um,
moment?
there was a open mic I was doing Tuesday nights, and I would always go to this basement right next door to the open mic when I was homeless and like just sleep in the basement. At the time, I was facing homelessness for 7.5 years. So after performing, I'm just sleeping in the basement, sitting in a chair, feet on another chair. I was using
Mhm.
clean clothes to keep me covered, and there were nights I cried, and I was like, at the time fighting deep depression, fighting suicide. And one night, I heard my thoughts scream out loud that I'm gonna kill you and like drag you to hell, and there's nothing you can do. And so I woke up that night in
Mhm.
tears, crying, and I grabbed my notebook and I just started. I was writing poetry to really like keep me mentally sane because it was so much
Mhm.
going on at the time I was homeless. So I think just being the journey of fighting homelessness, that was God helping me understand how to not just express myself creatively, but to know like eventually this wouldn't be forever, and he was showing me how to speak something different than what I look like at the situation of the moment.
So, did I hear you say homeless for 7 plus years?
7.5 years I was homeless. Recently, the week before
Mhm.
Thanksgiving last year, 2022, God favored me with keys to my apartment over here in St. Louis, and since then, I had my first Thanksgiving in my own apartment. I had my first Christmas here in my own apartment, and I got to bring in the New Year's for the first time ever in my own place. So I'm just grateful that God remembered me and saw fit to give me something I've always wanted.
Derek, before we go on, can you adjust your lighting? We're getting that light from behind you, so that's kind of all we see there. So much better. There you go. And I don't know who just sent me that, but thank you. I didn't get a chance to look exactly. I just saw that text. Much better. Thank you guys, because it looked a little different on my end. Much better, Derek. I can even see you better. So, what year did you say you got your own place and got to celebrate? I missed that.
So last year, 2022, the week before Thanksgiving, I got the keys to my apartment. Then I got to celebrate Thanksgiving here for the first time the week of. I got to do Christmas in my own place last
Oh,
year,
wow.
and then this year was my first New Year's in my own apartment.
Okay. So, I noticed you said my thoughts. You were sharing with us about when you were homeless, and I believe you said my thoughts said these things to me. You heard your thoughts saying that I'm gonna basically take you out.
Hmm.
I thought that was interesting for you to reference thoughts, because I truly believe, here on our show, we talk about that self awareness, about taking control of your thoughts and not activating them. So I thought it was interesting that you said my thoughts, and it was as if you did not register those thoughts or take them to be your thoughts, meaning that I will your thoughts, but nothing that I will bring upon myself.
Hmm.
How did you get there? Especially being homeless, because one would think when you're in that phase of life where you are homeless, that you are hopeless. But it seemed like you kept the hope alive. How?
Um, I was hopeless,
Hmm.
and there were times I questioned God, I fought with God, I argued with God, because it was like, if you're God and you see things, you know things, then God, why this? But
Hmm.
even in being hopeless, He would send me reminders that His hand was on my life, His favor was with me, and that
Hmm.
He was teaching me that eventually, when I did get to where I have my own place now, I'm more grateful, I'm more thankful, and I'm humble because I know what it was like going through the moments where I didn't know what it was like. I didn't know if my stuff would still be in the same space when I got back. Or, when you have to have so much,
Hmm.
then you gotta throw stuff away, then you gotta like get brand new stuff, and then after so long you gotta throw stuff away and get brand new stuff again. So that was my mindset, was hopeless, embarrassed, ashamed. Um I didn't have a sense of victory at the time because it was like, I
Hmm.
want to believe you, God, but I need to see that you're with
See,
me, and,
yeah.
and show me that you're not leaving me in this stage. And I need to know that I need to hear from you clearly. Like, I needed answers. Like, if I cried out that night, I needed answers and confirmation the next day so that it's a reminder, like, you hear me.
Mm. And so those reminders kept you going. They fueled you. They were your gasoline, as in a car. They got you a few miles,
Yes,
a
ma'am.
few more miles.
Yes, ma'am.
Interesting. Um, if you don't mind, because I may have missed this, and I did not. I may have missed this on the previous podcast, because I know I jumped in a little bit late, which is how I you and I started talking about bringing you on the show. So I may have missed the part about being homeless. Um, and if it's something you don't want to talk about, that's fine. How did you get there? Like, did you see yourself getting to that moment where, hey, I'm about to be homeless?
No, at the time it was just moments I didn't know how to like keep my mouth quiet when there was situations going
Mhm.
on at the house with my family, because I was very I never felt like I had a voice, and when I did try to voice it, I didn't know how to be mature about it at the time. And
Okay.
so not only that, but then being with the wrong crowd of friends, And
Okay.
then because you know you stand out, and because they know you're a preacher's kid and a grand preacher's kid, so eventually you're the thumb that sticks out, and you know they're gonna get rid of you eventually.
So how old were you when you
I was
experienced your first?
in my early like mid 20s, early 20s.
Okay. Okay. How did that help shape your poetry life, your writing life? How did that, because you hear the story, do you think you would be here without that story? Do you think you would be where you are, meaning writing and embracing um, your writing, embracing it, like going after it? Do you think you would be here if you had not gone through some of the things you've gone through?
Honestly, I wouldn't be here had not I went through that, because there were situations that I didn't know how.
Hmm.
And when you're I was eating out of dumpsters. I was eating leftover food that people throw away after poetry shows. Some days I was sitting at a coffee shop, and then just God would touch people to come bless me with money to get something to eat, some coffee, some hats, some clothes, some scarves, gloves, or whatever like the Lord touched them to do. And then after they bless me, they will remind me, God loves you and He's got something special for you. And eventually that's when I met my apostle, Dr. Mehdi. And he would always just like drop me off at the coffee shop and bless me with like some money afterwards. But eventually, he spoke into my life and was like, your story won't be the same. And so just being under him, under his leadership, and just serving him, and just carrying his Bible, and just like making sure he has his water or whatever he needs, and just being at church early in the morning, setting up and being, there until it's time to close, and like break everything down. I honestly believe just serving the man of God is the biggest reason why I'm able to have what I have today.
I thought it was so for the word you said, what I heard the most was, I know God, I knew he was there, but I needed to see him. And I think so often God speaks. I won't say so often. I think I would say all the time God is
Mhm.
speaking to us, no matter what situation you're in, no matter what the circumstances look like. And that's a hard lesson to learn. Well, feels hard. It's also
Mhm.
freeing. But when you said, I needed to see you, I would like for people to just let that simmer, because God is everywhere. He is everywhere, always speaking to us. But I truly believe that we're so busy, we're so caught up in this rat race that we can't hear. And also, no matter, again, the situation, the circumstances, if I could just see you, if I could just get a little bit of gasoline to make it to the next stop, I'll be okay. And I don't
Mhm.
feel that that answer ever, that we always get that answer. I'll say that I feel that we always get the answer. We always get that prayer answered. Sometimes we just can't hear. We're so wrapped up and sometimes hopeless. And I heard you say you were hopeless to a degree, but I
Mhm.
just hearing your story and seeing you now, I feel like there was much more hope in you, even just to feel like, God, I need to see you. You didn't really
Yeah.
ask for, or maybe you did, but to say I need to see you, it's like it's in your hands. However you allow me to see you, so be it. But I need to see you. I need to know that I'm not doing this or here in vain. So I just, when you said see you, I wrote that down, because I know I've prayed that prayer, like I just need to know you're here. Like I need a sign. Maybe that's a word too. I need a sign. And maybe that doesn't work for everybody. But I know I've gotten down to the point where nothing else would do. Like I knew nothing else would do. So I'm loving this story. I do have some questions. Anything before I ask any more questions?
Oh.
Anything you want
Mm-mm.
to share? And you may have,
Just to whoever's listening.
we're losing you just a little bit. The sound is
Just whoever.
going out.
Okay, can you hear me still?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
I just want to say, whoever's listening, a personal relationship with God is priceless,
Mm,
and it's not about being perfect. It's literally just God. I just need to know when when I fall, you're still there. Help me get up. Just remind me in certain ways that you got me.
yeah. Amen. Okay. Um, I know you said you've been writing, I think you said about 20 plus years. Um, do
Hmm.
you remember what, because that said that you were really young. I'm assuming, because I don't know your age now, but you were really young. I was, well, not really, but you were a young boy, young man. What inspired you? Like, what moved you to start writing?
My first poem was from 9/11 when I was in middle school.
Oh, we gonna have to, God, we need to see you right now because we don't need this. We don't need to have technology issues. So, Derrick, you're freezing up on us, but we're gonna pray that thing
All right.
off. Okay, you're back, but it was freezing up a little bit.
Okay.
So, and now you put
Okay.
yourself back in the
Can you?
light. We lost him. I'm sure he'll come back on, you guys, but we're not gonna let it stop there. We're gonna give him a minute. Um, hello, Auntie Vivian Cody. Thank you. I am as proud of you. Thank you, and I'm sure he will get that message as well. But thank you for tuning in, Lamar J. Focus. Thank you, and I will let the brother know. He'll be back in here shortly. I'm sure. It's just some technical difficulties. While I'm waiting on him, I'm just gonna kind of do a refresh because we're constantly and weekly making changes. Um, for those of you who are listening, I'm going to ask you to kind of be on alert tomorrow. I have a really special announcement that I'm going to be making sometime tomorrow. I don't have an exact time, but I am going to go live with some really good news that I'm excited about. So if you can, just be on the lookout. If you miss it, please, and if you see it come across later, please listen, share, and prepare to. Well, I may say too much. Listen and share, and we'll do the rest tomorrow. I hope my brother can get back in. First Tuesdays going forward, first Tuesdays will be about relationship only, relationships. We're going to talk about things that we need to talk about to keep people connected, to keep people in love, to keep people communicating with each other. Because I still believe love is not enough in a relationship. I can love you, but if I don't turn that thing or turn that love into action, if I don't work to communicate, to understand you, to love you. So we're going to talk all things relationships. There's nothing that we will not talk about. Some things may not make it to this platform just because of Facebook and how it is. That's where the B2G, if you have not heard, we are working. We already have the TV show, the TV station, but we're working to upload our shows and other things, and we're going to be doing quite a few things, and that's one of the things I'm going to talk to you guys about tomorrow. One of them. So let me check with him. You guys, I'm so sorry. There he is. There he is. There he is. Amen. Hey, can you
Hey.
hear us?
Yes, I can hear you.
Okay. Welcome back. Welcome back. So I'd asked the question, what inspired you at such a young age to write, to start writing and continue
Um.
it all these years later?
So the first poem I ever wrote was in middle school when we experienced 9/11, and just seeing the planes how they crashed into the twin towers. So my teacher gave me a notebook and I wrote my first poem about what I saw and just how that made me feel.
Hmm. What grade?
The sixth grade.
Sixth grade. Wow. Okay. Okay. Um, what is or is there a measure of success for poets? Meaning, I can only assume that it's a bit difficult to tap into this world as it relates to poetry. I do feel like there's more and more like open mic nights for poetry as it used to be for comedy. So it is seemingly
Mm,
it's evolving. What or
mm.
is there? Because there may not be what or is there a measure of success as a poet? Like when do you some people I know it may be different for everyone, but for you, what would be that measure of success for you? Like, okay, my poetry has become successful.
Um, I believe it is becoming successful because one to know how God uses it to speak to those that are open to hear it. And even the ones that
Mhm.
don't tell you that it spoke to them, but to know that it speaks to them because you can feel it. Two, the success is seeing how people are blessed.
Mm.
Do I want to financially see things from it? Of course, but I think the biggest success for me is knowing that God has allowed me to speak a message that speaks to whoever needs it, and seeing that it still leaves an impact on the people and it speaks to them and it resonates with them. I think that's the biggest success is knowing that there's a message that can reach whoever needs to be reached, and it helps them get through the situations they're dealing with.
So I have a question. You mentioned message, and I have a question here. Can poems have several messages? Like, do they usually have one strong, solid messages, and then but one several more?
Yes, ma'am, most definitely.
Okay. Does that depend on the writer and
Yeah,
what they're writing about?
yes.
Okay. Okay. Um, what advice would you give to someone who's a writer but does not share it, speak it? They just write it and kind of put it in the book. What would you say? But they want to do more. How would you advise them to get out there and make it happen?
Um, everybody has a way of sharing, and it might not be like expressive like me,
Hmm.
but don't sit back. Don't sit down on it and not share it because you never know how it'll affect somebody because you didn't share it.
Hmm. Okay. Do you have a favorite poet?
Um, my favorite poet is my favorite poet is Dewana Dodd.
Dewana Dodds. Hmm. I don't think I've heard of her.
No, because
No.
she's a very good friend of mine's at church, and
Oh,
her
okay.
life her life is like
Interesting.
poetry, and
Okay.
she has helped me. She's helped me on a lot of different levels when it comes to just seeing how God still is like lifting me and speaking to me and helping me.
Okay. Okay. Was it a difficult? Let me change the word. Going from homeless to your own place before Thanksgiving in 2022. How was? Did you have challenges adapting to the new environment, mentally and physically, and or physically?
I would say physically because from going to sleeping on the couch to now air mattress to now California king size bed.
Hmm.
So just learning how to be comfortable, and then mentally because it's like now it's really here, even though it seems like it's a dream come true, and it is a
Hmm.
dream,
Hmm.
but to still be like it's still here, and when you come back to it every day and knowing like this is really yours.
Mm. I asked that because I remember watching a documentary where homeless people received like $1 million or something like that, something. And I remember seeing one talk about it was difficult for him to sleep in the bed, that he literally would get out of the bed and get on the floor because
Mhm.
he had become comfortable sleeping on the ground, on the floor. But there was this,
Mhm.
bed and all of that. But he just could not go right into it. And so, of course, that speaks to me because mentally, it's easy to get to a place where even if it's not the best for us, it has become what we know and what we're familiar with. And then that change, no matter how good or great it is, sometimes mentally we have to catch up with it. We have to do that. We have to force ourselves to sleep in the bed or force ourselves to get up, whatever the situation is, because homelessness is not just about not having um, a place to go and stay. I feel like there's a lot of people living a homelessness life, but it's not about having a place to walk through the door. It's about a spirit that's not at home, that's
Mhm.
not at peace.
All
And
right.
so I don't think we look at it in that sense. Any thoughts?
Mhm. Um, I would say it's a mindset, and so I think that's true because to be able to just look at where I'm at now and realize my spirit wasn't at peace because it was like my spirit only knew this. So when
Mm,
you're now in a position where now your spirit can be at peace, so it's like now your spirit is catching up to you, finally saying now it can be at rest and it doesn't have to feel like it was when it wasn't at rest.
right, right, right. Tell us about, you have a show coming up.
Yes.
Tell us about that.
So it is this Saturday. For a second time, I will be back in Monroe, Louisiana. So the show is called Poetically Poetic with Tangela. I recently was there last year. Um, I kept telling her, I was like, "This gonna be the biggest talk. This gonna be the talk of the town." She was like, "Why you say that?" I said, "Well, most of your artists are here in Monroe, but then I said you got an artist coming from Arkansas, but then I said you got an artist coming from St. Louis." So I was like, "This is gonna be epic that you guys, you have an artist coming from St. Louis." Um, Literally, I believe 2 days later, right as I was leaving back to St. Louis, we made the newspaper. So I'll be back again this Saturday in Monroe for the same show, but this time it's called A Time to Heal. And
Mm.
I'll be one of the artists doing some poetry again from St. Louis, Missouri.
So is the poetry, is all of the poetry about healing? And when you, if it is, what type of healing? Emotional healing, all kinds of
Um
healing?
so the last one was about it was old school with a twist. So I did three different poems. The first one I did to Tina Marie Out on a Limb, but I did an original piece to the song itself. The second one was one of my famous pieces called I'll Father You. And then the third one was called Love Me for Me. But this
Mm.
one will basically be like because we're gonna be at a church, so we're speaking about healing. So like for those who never had a father, it's time to heal and know like God is your father, but then also you have like spiritual fathers in the churches that you can like look up to and talk to and connect to whenever you feel like you need a father to like be there and support.
You mentioned about father. Um, did you have a relationship with your dad or no?
Um, I've never met my dad in 34 years of living. And me and my stepdad, we're okay, but my spiritual father, Apostle Medi, is literally like the father I've never had. And literally, he's literally like my father that I can talk to about anything. Not just when it comes to church, but even outside of that, what it means to be the man when it comes to wanting to be a husband, wanted to be a future father, wanted to be a greater leader for the community and everything. So my apostle is literally like the father I've been praying for.
Hmm. Hmm. You mentioned early on about not feeling like you were not that people didn't hear you, that you didn't have a voice. Was that, and you mentioned that that could have caused the early homelessness where you had to leave. Was that family, mom, aunts, uncles? Was that family that you felt that you weren't heard?
It was family because growing up I never really could express myself in a way where I was understood. Um I used to get in trouble for writing in notebooks about what I felt because I knew at the time I couldn't like really express what I felt to my mom because one, I knew it would have been disrespectful, but then two, because it was like the way that I felt, it was never easy to like say this is what I'm feeling because it was a lot of pent up aggression and a lot of anger.
Do you think some of that had to do with the absence of your dad?
That for the most part because I didn't feel like I knew who I was at the moment.
You didn't feel like you knew who you were at the moment.
Hmm.
Okay. 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 Also going back to what having just that void of parent number two, the void of my one plus one is one of my
Hmm.
one plus ones is missing.
Hmm.
How important, and this may sound like a really, but I need to ask it for the people as well, for the young man that's looking, who may not have that father in his life, but um, longs for that father. And what's interesting is that for you, you now have a father figure that you are okay with accepting, because sometimes it's also difficult for
Oh,
people to.
oh,
Are you there?
yeah, I just threw up. I'm so sorry.
Oh, are you okay? Okay.
No.
Okay, you can go. We'll take you off. Let's take you off. Sorry, you guys, 'cause he's gotten sick. He was a little nervous. He called me early and said, I am really nervous about this. So I won't make him. I noticed he was kind of moving. So I just think he's not feeling well. We're going to let this end there. I will bring him back. I'll just give him time and I'll keep updating you guys. I have a few more minutes. I hope he's okay. Um, I just want to update you. If you know someone that has a story, who's been through some things but have grown through those things, please send them our way. Second Tuesdays is what, yeah, I've already removed him. Thank you guys. I hope he's okay. I hope he's okay. Um, I think what I'll do is just stop and check on him. Sorry, you guys, that you had to see that, but like I said, he called me just before the show, and he said, "I'm really nervous about this," and I was like, "You got this. Someone needs to hear your story." So nonetheless, I will bring him back another time. Next week, I have the author's corner. So I will be interviewing Titus Broom, but we're going to tell you about the book, but not really talk about it until next time because he's doing some wonderful things. He has an amazing What's Your Story as well. So it's kind of going to be a repeat of that. Join us for that. And then at the end of the month, we're going to be talking about the communication, things like that through the Bluff City leadership. But tomorrow, as I mentioned, I have an announcement that I will be making tomorrow, going live for that. But stay tuned, stay connected. I apologize that our guest got sick. I'm gonna stop and check on him. You guys be great. Thank you for your patience. I know we had the little technology things going on, but to my aunt Vivian, thank you for listening. I'm proud of you as well. Thank you. Nelda, thank you for listening. Stephanie, hi, how are you? Lamar J Focus, thank you for tuning in again. You guys, thank you, and we'll be back next Tuesday, and I'll bring Mr. Poetry number 7 back soon. Thank you guys. Have a great night.